welcome to Dead Letter Emissions. Tonight, we got a couple things going on. One, we got Matianak, which is a very old friend of mine, Rick Hernandez, his girl, and some pretty amazing musicians. So we're going to have those guys on, but we're also going to do top 5 horror movies of the year. So, to be honest, 2020 has been kind of a horror movie in itself, but you know, when we had time, I can honestly say I haven't watched as many new horror movies this year because I didn't really think it was necessary. But, you know, kind of going back to the classics, but there are enough where we could definitely do the shows. So thanks for tuning in. And I would like to say that next week, and if you guys get this, but, you know, we're looking for some top albums that have come out this year. So if you could just kind of start thinking about, you know, your favorite depth, doom, grindcore, stoner rock, hardcore, you know, just start thinking about those albums. And then on the Dead Letter Legion, if you could post that, or on the Dead Letter Omissions Facebook as well, it'd be very helpful. So anyway, here I am, Jeremy, Maggie.
How you guys doing?
Good. I mean, this is actually, I wanted to talk about something real quick, because this is fucking weird. There's a YouTube cult.
Oh, you talked about this earlier.
Yeah, and it's kind of blowing my mind. But
there's only one YouTube cult? I think there's probably more than one.
Well, yeah,
Just one,
especially in this
particular
environment. But it's Blood Over Intent. I don't know if
cool
you've heard
band
about
name.
that.
I don't know. Cool band name.
Is it? I don't know. That's weird.
Sounds like a
Blood Over
band name.
Intent is pretty badass.
Well, if you look over Blood Over Intent,
Well, we can't
there's
see that.
thousands of videos. Oh, just look it up. You got YouTube. And what it is these people write something about heaven on earth, and then they bloodlet onto a piece of paper, and then they'll burn it or whatever, like, you know.
That's
It's like-
totally my style of shit.
Yeah, like, you know, it's a witchcraft, occultism. But they talk about, there's a cult leader, but they talk about the 144,000
Ooh,
Is
that gets a
represented.
little...
in the Bible. So there's a twist to it. You know, I grew up a Jehovah's Witness kid.
Yeah, that gets a little-
144,000 were the people that were going to rule beside Jesus in heaven, while all of the other followers were going to inhabit the earth. But this twists kind of the Garden of Eden into being like Satan is the good guy, and
Naturally.
the righteous followers are going to rule in heaven with Satan, while there's 144,000 these crazy bloodletter folks that are going to kind of rule beside him. So I don't know. It's
That
worth
sounds-
looking up. But
Do they have that many people in their cult yet?
I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a couple thousand, but what happens, like everything else on YouTube, is that it gets into this weird... Okay, so if ascension is knowledge, right? A lot of flat earthers kind of like dive into it, where they know something that we don't know because they're illuminated by bloodletting their intent. And part of, you know, the whole intent is you have to post it on YouTube.
The bloodletting?
Yeah, but that doesn't, like, to me, that doesn't sound anything
Oh,
even
that actually sounds quite generic.
kind of like occulty, or
No, it really just sounds generic.
like
and
your intent is only going to come to fruition if you post it on
YouTube. That's real generic. I would like to
That's
look
very
for-
21st century. I mean, that seems like
It
you know,
is. It is.
for right now,
but
you know.
Yeah, we
You know,
just commercialized the occult.
Pixar it didn't happen.
Flat earthers.
It's like the Pixar it didn't happen cult. You gotta
I
yes.
think it should be a little bit more, you know, underground and dark than the but yeah, 21st century, I suppose.
And I just kind of wanted to set the tone with this, Jeremy, because one, I'm going to send you some information, and my goal in life at this point is to get this cult leader. He's called the Omniluminous I think is what he refers to. But he believes that he's the incarnate of Satan. So he has to come on the pod. So anybody that listens to this
I'm
at
gonna
all,
volunteer to take that week off.
yeah,
No, we should totally do that.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible. It sounds like it would be an incredible.
I just if we have
Yeah.
or if you guys have any angle on this shit, like
Well, I
this
have
guy
an
has to come.
angle. I would love
No,
to
with
talk to
the
this
cult leader.
person.
Well, yeah, but that's an angle to get him on.
But maybe it could be.
Okay.
I'm
Sure.
pretty sure
Well,
that cult
maybe
leaders
you
will do
should-
anything to get on anywhere because they're like cult leaders and they've got nothing better to do. But you know,
Yeah, it would be easy.
And just so this motherfucker Luminous knows, I will bloodlet the shit out of this whole place if you come on.
All right, let's
I'll start
do it.
squeezing blood out of every orifice if you come on,
I'm all about bloodletting.
for sure.
I'm fine with that.
But anyway, I thought that would kind of set the pace for the horror.
okay, this
movie.
is now my #1 horror movie of 2020. We've succeeded.
Okay.
already.
Number one horror movie, Jeremy, go.
Oh, you start at 5.
Oh, at number 5, that.
I mean, that'd be really.
Jeremy's
Yeah,
number.
that would totally kill any anticipation. We're just gonna start with #1 and then you're gonna go back. You know,
No,
the ones
I'm
we
sorry.
didn't
We're
like
gonna go
as
from
much.
1 to
Well,
144,000.
I was, super into the bloodletting thing. So let's go. Jeremy, what is your number 5?
My first horror movie was His House, which is like sort of a witchy spiritual movie, a haunting. But it kind of surprised me. I was not expecting to like that movie. It just didn't seem like it was going to be one that was all that scary. And then put it on, and that movie has like jump scares kind of nonstop throughout the first like hour of the movie. It's pretty intense.
Isn't
But
that
so,
what-
yeah.
His house?
His House, yes.
Hobbit?
Steve, you're gonna have to move closer to the mic because I
Oh,
totally cannot hear you
I'm
half the
sorry.
time.
It isn't that with the Hobbit?
The Hobbit? No,
Maybe not.
there's no Hobbit.
Maybe.
It's a story about some immigrants that come from Africa and they
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
move into
Oh,
a
we
house,
saw
a temporary
that.
housing
Yeah.
in the UK. Yeah, it was good.
Yes. We saw
And those people in the wall are creepy as hell. Those it's totally creepy. It was way creepier than I anticipated by the outline of the movie. So it was kind of a surprise for me. What about you guys? What was your number 5?
My number 5 was probably, oh my god, I'm all mixed up with papers over here. I really didn't see a whole lot of movies in 2020. I just didn't, I guess. But
It's tough.
I just didn't,
Yeah.
But my number 5 was probably maybe The Other Lamb.
I haven't seen that one. What was that about?
It was about a dude who he had like a cult of all women and all girls, and he just kind of kept banging these chicks, and the chicks just kind of kept dealing with it. And then toward the end of the movie, this one young girl, because he was banging girls like they were young, and
Like they were in the cult?
well, yeah, because when the women
So
had
they knew that he was banging them.
yeah, and when the women had bore sons, they would like kill the boys, and then they would kill the mothers that bore sons. And so at the end of it, the youngest one was like, "This is fucked up, and I'm not cool with this shit," And then she had kind of come up with a plan to kill this dude because he kept,
Yeah. Are you sure this wasn't in the porno section? Because there was a lot of dude banging young girls. Like,
Yeah. No, it was more culty than I guess horror. I think a lot of the movies that I watched were probably more culty than horror. But yeah, that was a scenario. At the end, she had just kind of got all the rest of the bitches together and was like,
No
"We ain't doing
spoilers. No spoilers
fine."
though. Don't do spoilers.
Oh, so we're done with this shit.
All right.
And so that
What
would
about
be
you, Steve?
So mine, yeah, it was sorry. No, platform.
Oh yeah, I watched that one. That was really good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
It kind of reminded me of Cube. Um, I'm kind of curious because you kind of see there's a class system, but then, like, is the little girl like a martyr? Like, is she Jesus? Or is it the humanity um, of them going through all that to bring a light? I didn't really understand.
Yeah, I don't think it's any. I don't think there's any religious overtones to it. It definitely just seemed like sort of a eco-sociological like statement. Um, but I mean, I just loved the writing in that movie. I thought it was really great. And one of the things, this is kind of unrelated but cracked me up, was so I watched it, and then the next day I was explaining the movie to Sarah, my wife, and I was like telling her about the movie, and I told her about the guy that he gets stuck with, with the knife, who
Yeah.
continually says obviously and can't say tells him he can't use his word obviously. My kid had totally overheard that and has been saying obviously every day, like constantly, and it's just all the time, and now that word is like haunting me because of that guy. But
Obviously.
Well, and it's
yeah,
funny, 'cause it's a Spanish movie, so I mean, we're assuming that's what he meant. Or a
obviously,
word.
obviously. Yeah,
Obviously.
but that will stick with me forever, and I think that was great because there's few things in movies that will just really like stick with you, and that character, that guy with the story about how he brought his knife in there and how he
Yeah.
bought it off TV. It was
Yeah, he
just it
got
was
fucked because as soon as he bought it, there's a better,
it was just so good.
Obviously.
It was so good, and that movie could have totally made my list, but I'm glad that you included it on yours. It was a really good movie.
yeah.
Um, so my next one was Underwater. I don't know if you
Oh
guys saw that
yeah.
one. That was
I
kind
did
of a
not
big
see
one.
it.
I saw most of it. I actually have it on my list.
It's on my list. I didn't see it, but it looked excellent.
Yeah.
With Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, it was surprising. I was thinking it was going to be more like this like sort of slow um maybe like Deep Blue Sea, or like like Deep
I
Star
thought
6, something like that, but it was definitely more like Cloverfield kind of a monster movie.
I thought
Um
it looked more like a Alien.
it was more like, I mean, it was not, because Alien would have been more like I don't know, maybe like Leviathan, but this was definitely like more of like a um like a gigantic Godzilla type monster, not like aliens. So it felt a little different. Like it was more like this, like menacing gigantic horror
Yeah, it
creature.
looked awesome. I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but it looked awesome.
Yeah, it was very intense, and I mean, easily could have been number one. I think any of these movies, I liked them all about the same amount, which means I don't think any of them really stood out a whole lot as like a clear number one, but they were all really good, very intense. And TJ, I can't remember what his name is, the funny guy that's in that movie. Um, it's gonna drive me nuts now.
I only remember Kristen Stewart in that flick.
What's his name? I gotta look it up now. He's in Deadpool. What's his name?
I know exactly
I
who
never
you're
saw
talking
that.
about.
Deadpool's buddy. Um,
Yeah.
oh man, it's gonna drive me nuts. I gotta look. TJ Miller, that's his last name. Yeah, he's really funny, and he's great for the amount of time that he survives. So
Yeah.
A little bit of a spoiler, but you kind of know, like going into it, that the funny guy is gonna eat it at some point in any horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. So
Yeah.
what
I
about?
bet. Oh, hey. Oh, this is great. I can
Sorry,
switch
yeah.
cameras.
Oh, no need. No need. That. All right. So is it my turn?
Yeah, what do you have?
I actually put a whole bunch of movies down because I thought we were supposed to do like a top 10 or top 20. Um, but I guess I would, if it was my number 4, I would have to say probably uh, Nocturne. And that was about two
Not
Nocturne or Nocturna, or it was a musical thing where there was 2 twin sisters that weren't identical twins, and they were, kind of like musical prodigies. One was better than the other, and then the kind of like bulkier looking girl wanted, the star that her sister had, and another girl had died, and she ended up finding this book of witchcraft that this girl had used to be, she basically used witchcraft to be a top notch violinist, and it got it got pretty deep, I guess. But I wouldn't say it was scary, but anytime that witchcraft is involved,
Yeah, that's right up your alley.
it is right up my alley. So that was that was pretty cool.
Can you grab me my drink over there?
Sure.
What did you have, Steve?
I had Swallow.
Oh yes, I saw the preview for that. I have not watched it yet though.
I mean, it was definitely a character study. It was set in the 80s. Like, the husband was a rich dude. And, the wife was really pretty. She definitely married right. But you start learning more and more about her, with abuse and things that she went through. And the life that she entered. And she just had a baby with what would be comparable to, like, American Psycho, like just real dry without the murder. But that era, nice house, big nice pool. She couldn't communicate with people very well, but the only time she could feel is when she ate things like
Oh, was it Sarah Paulson?
no, it wasn't. But yeah, like metal tacks.
Yeah,
And it got
it's very
Glass.
uncomfortable just watching the preview. Like,
yeah, yeah.
Glass.
But
and-
the director actually based the whole scene and general feel on Rosemary's Baby. So if you like Rosemary's Baby and that kind of aesthetic, um, that was his direct influence for that movie as far as feel. But yeah, it got worse and worse where, these astute parents and they're trying to break him up and have the husband, even though she's just having a baby, divorce. And
Who was that?
it's,
I have to-
I don't know, it's a good character study. But yeah,
I
there are
saw the
things where,
trailers for that.
well, I mean, when they're pulling things with like I don't
yeah.
know. What are the
It's always interesting when there's like some sort of psychosis involved, like some sort of impulsive, like psychotic behavior. It kind of reminds me of this book that one of my friends wrote. She wrote, it was actually like this series. It was called Sick, and it was about this guy who was like very wealthy and well-to-do, but he spent his whole life like injuring himself to get sympathy for other people and to get them to do whatever he wanted. So like he was constantly like playing like there was something like wrong with him. He would go to the hospital pretending to be sick, and like then he would go to like extremes of like breaking his bones, and then like he would even go get further and like when he was like pretending to be sick, he would like fall downstairs, throw himself downstairs on purpose. And so this would go on for years. Like he was just chronically like injuring himself. And this woman that he's that is like the main character is like trapped in this relationship with him because she can't leave him because she's always feeling horrible for him. And so it kind of reminded me of that story. And I was like, I really enjoyed this book. It was really great, disturbing book. It's called Sick by Krista Wojo. But yeah, I was like, I'm not ready to go into like that kind of a story again. It's just very uncomfortable. I don't know why. It always is.
That's incredibly deep. We lived down the street when
This is a good story. Did we talk about this before?
I don't think so. When Stephen lived in Rockford with me, that's where I was from, and I was, from.
This might be a really good idea.
Generally, a really bad part of town, but that's just Rockford. Most of Rockford is a bad part of town. But
for the audience, this is 9th Street.
9th Street,
a couple blocks
and Brook Road.
Between the trailer park and Horton Keys, which is the worst project.
It's one of the worst. One of the worst.
It's up there.
So, and that's pretty much where I grew up. I ran those streets, and that's, where I lived. And then
I'm glad we decided to raise a family there.
Oh, we left.
We did.
Shut it up.
Yeah.
But, Stephen was working at Verizon. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. And it was rough. What Rockford is, it's pretty fucking rough.
Well, our neighbors got busted for a prostitution house. And since we were between Horton Keys and the trailer park, there was a kid. He looked like he was 12. On one of those old tan mini bikes.
Talking about.
Well, I know, just to kind of, it was a meth run from the project to the trailer park all day.
Kids
and
running.
He would ride his mini bike in front of our lawn. And that, we'd pick up syringes and all sorts of fun stuff.
It was quite rough. But in scenario with the story that we were just talking about is that up the block there was a kid who had, I think it was called body dysphoria or something like that, and he didn't think his limbs belonged to him, and so he was just 2 or 3 houses down.
It still creeps me
on the corner. And he felt like his limbs did not belong to him.
He hated his limbs. He'd cut with a saw his arms and his legs off.
He was constantly...
God, that is horrifying.
Sawing. He was constantly sawing at his limbs.
He got airlifted 3 times.
There was all the time. And this is 3...
That's horrible.
3 houses.
Yeah, it was the kid that would play in the yard. I don't know, was he 11? But every once in a while, he'd just be like, nope.
And he would just start sawing off his arms and legs and hands.
Ah!
And, the ambulance was coming and going all the time because the parents would go to work or be out working in the yard or whatever.
How could you leave your kid if that's what happens? I don't understand.
Evan, what are you doing? I'm just playing kickball. Oh.
And he hated his own limbs. He had a body it's called, what is it called?
Dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia.
So I don't know. It's probably got a new name.
It is a thing. No, it is a legitimate thing.
Yeah, it was a good neighborhood. For anyone that's
a good neighborhood, it could have happened on the north side.
Oh, he made it weirder, for sure.
It could have happened on the north side. But this poor kid, he had body dysmorphia.
Okay, well now between the cult and this kid, you guys have covered 1 and 2 in my horror movies for a year.
But that was real life happened.
Well, it's good.
And every few weeks, the ambulance would show up and he would be caught with a handsaw, cutting his own arm off because he felt like that was not his arm, and his arm made him do stupid things. That arm made him create crimes that he didn't want to do. They
Well, my
just,
question is, if his arm didn't belong to him, how was he telling it to saw the other one?
I don't know. It is a
I mean, if,
scenario.
I feel like if somebody might have pointed this out to him, he might have been like, "Oh shit, these are mine."
No, it really is.
Well,
It
if he's a
really
solid
is.
teenager right now, I'd love to have him on the cast.
Steven, he's probably not even alive. How
No, we're
dare
not. We're not.
it's
That's
disgusting.
dark.
I'm being
That poor
distasteful.
guy.
I think that I think we're probably all being a little distasteful, but my God, that's something I've never heard before.
That poor
That's
kid.
crazy. We're gonna have a
Yeah.
whole bunch of angry body dysmorphia.
Oh my God.
You know,
But it
I
was
don't.
real.
All of you that are mad that have this disposition, you're welcome on the podcast
It
whenever,
was real. It really happened.
whenever you want.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, Jeremy.
Okay, this one was my my pick for the best alien horror movie of the year, which was the Russian film Sputnik. I don't know if you
Oh
guys
my
watched that one.
God.
God damn you! My number 3 is also Sputnik.
Well, we could both talk about it then. But yeah, I totally thought this was like a modern day like alien, like they come back from space and there's like this creature living inside of them, even though it's not like the same type of way as an alien. It's still like the same sort of like philosophy. Like he looks normal, but there's this creature inside of him that's foreign. And man, that thing was just well done with the special effects and the acting in it was top notch. It was really good all around movie.
Yeah,
I thought.
there's a lot of the jump scare type
Yeah.
stuff, and I just watched what's it called? And it kind of reminded me in a weird way of this Stephen King movie, They, Them. Oh my God, I feel the thing. Thing.
Oh yeah, that wasn't Stephen King, but that was. I mean, it was John Carpenter movie.
That was John
Um,
Carpenter. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who wrote it though, but yeah, that was a good movie. It was definitely I could see the similarity.
Yeah, just kind of the isolation. I mean, anytime, like you got the underwater one, space, the thing. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. Like anytime there's a creature and you're completely isolated, like that's scary because
Yeah.
it's really just you and
Yeah, my only worry was that watching that movie. I was like, if you set up that plot, at some point that creature has to just like get out, and it has to like, put everyone through hell. And I was so worried that it was gonna like not do that. It was just gonna be like this deep, like sort of like psychology. Where she's like trying to get him to do stuff, but no, like it like turned into a full on like like aliens kind of like blasting, military, like trying to fight this thing at the end. And yeah, it was, I thought it was really just well done. Great payoff at the end. So what did you have, Maggie, since we both picked the same thing?
Actually,
Sorry.
my
It's all good, man. It makes
we're
it
at number
quicker.
3, correct?
Yeah, number 3.
We're at number 3. I had a couple that, well, I had a whole list. I had a number 3 that actually was just not 2000 or 2020.
well, then you can't do it.
Oh, just let her do it, Steve. Just let her get away with it this time.
Well, yeah, but the other ones are not that good. I have to say, Midsummer.
Oh, yeah.
It was not 2020. It was 2019, but it was so incredible and so freaked out.
That's cheating.
All right, fine.
You have 10 movies.
Right. Well, let's go Nothing But the Blood. We're gonna go Nothing But the Blood.
I don't know what that one is.
Nothing But the Blood was another cult movie. And it was really a journalist who he had kind of gone into a small town and he had kind of fallen in love with this dude that uh, I guess is part of a cult. And he kind of leaves the cult to be with this girl. And then shit goes fucked up. And, they kill a kid. And then they end up stoning people to death because it was a Christian cult.
Oh yeah, you gotta love when people get stoned to death. It's very religious thing.
Yeah,
Stone
so
people.
I mean that's the idea, is that it ends in, you're so critical of Christian cult that you're gonna get stoned to death, and
I love it. That like nobody's questioned that throughout history. Like the religious books say, like you should just throw rocks at this person. If they did something wrong, you should throw rocks at them. Like that's like something we don't teach first. We teach like kindergartners not to throw rocks at each other, and like you put it in some book and call it religious, and people are like, yeah, throw rocks at people, go for it. It's great.
and that's how this ends up is, these people are is a cult that moves into a town, and then the people are like,
The religious people.
it exactly, it's like it's a whole bunch of religious people, and they end up, well, I can't give out spoilers.
Well, I mean, if you think about
but in the end, it's like, oh, you think you're so high and mighty?
Yeah,
well,
watch,
then we're
watch
gonna
me
stone you to death.
Yeah, but who
So
the fuck would let that happen?
Kind of ends up being the end of it. Is that
like if I saw a bunch of assholes trying to throw rocks at me, like something's gonna happen.
I mean,
like, I'm pretty sure that's.
I can find a better weapon than a rock.
I'm pretty sure that's like what Moses told you to do. If like your kids don't listen to you, you gotta like take them into the town square and throw rocks at them.
Yeah, like,
I mean, if you're really religious, you should really probably listen to Moses because that's what he said.
I mean, I'd throw rocks at my kids.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't listen, throw rocks at them.
I'm gonna throw M80s at you.
This movie is in that scenario.
Maggie, I hate to break it to you also, but I'm pretty sure that Moses also said if your wife doesn't listen, you could throw rocks at her too.
I'll fuck Steven up all night long.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know what that means.
If his wife doesn't listen, that you get to throw stones at me?
I have another wife.
I don't know, but I'll fuck you up, bro. Anyways,
what if my other wife
moving on?
A Greco-Roman oil wrestler.
I'm pretty sure Maggie probably
is Roman oil wrestling.
She probably is. That's what do you think she's doing out in the yard every night? She's wrestling.
I don't know. Got big arms.
Oh my god! All right, moving on. It's somebody's next.
Okay, yeah, number 2. I had to include a zombie movie. I can't do a top horror movie list without picking a zombie movie. And there's only really, I think, one that. Well, no, there was a couple that were good, but definitely the best one by like a mile was the movie Alive on Netflix, which is not the movie about the cannibalistic soccer team.
I know. I watched that. I got that in my notes too because you had to explain that to me.
You're like, I watched that movie. It's about the soccer team eating. No, Steven.
We actually watched that as a family. I don't know why, but there was a thought process behind it. Not the
original Alive. Yeah,
yeah.
That's horrible. I would
just
totally never watch that with my children.
We're all confused. Why did we watch this?
Well, the Netflix zombie movie is, I mean, it's South Korean, which they've been like the only country putting out good zombie movies. So yeah, this was.
You should see the North Korean ones.
I don't think that those are movies. I think that's just like North Korea. I think that's just like it's like a documentary. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. I just sound like poking with brakes, like people in line.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good movie for 2022 because you have the two people that are the main characters, and they're separated in their own houses across from each other, and like the whole, parking lot between their apartments is swarming with like zombies, and um, so they're like, they're the only thing like keeping each other going, but they're both in isolation still at the same time. And I mean, what's more 2020 than that? Which was I thought really just a good plot line for this year. But I don't know. Did either of you guys see that one or?
Yeah, I got through most of it. And yeah, I think anything like the first thing I think about with what's going on now is I want to watch like 28 Days Later. It just seems so not apocalyptic to me, but just where like there are living dead. Unfortunately, they're in different groups of people that I know we're not trying to be political, but there was a march today where I was kind of like, oh my god, like and yeah, I think zombie movies have been most relevant.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people wandering around out there that are just like dead inside, so I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could keep it at that.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say, regardless of your political beliefs, it seems like there's just a lot of people that kind of wander through life that way. And I mean, it's a depressing way to think, but I think it's true. So,
yeah. I think Romero was definitely trying to get across the ultimate groupism when it came to, like a lot of what zombies are about. But yeah, no, it's super relevant. I got to catch the end of that. Unfortunately, it's one of those.
It was good. It was another one where I was kind of worried the ending would disappoint me, and it didn't. There were some nice twists in there, and so yeah, if you cut off, you might not have gotten to the twists that are coming, but it keeps it pretty interesting later on in the movie.
No, yeah, for sure, man.
Right,
I'm looking
whose turn
forward
is
to
it now?
It is your turn.
It's my turn.
I think so.
Number 2.
Oh my god. This is tough.
No, I think your number 3, number 2 is good.
I'm gonna have to go with number 3, which actually isn't in 2020, but it's.
No, it is. Yeah, it's 2020. Number 3. You already did that. Yeah.
The Invisible Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really.
That one was this year. It was right at the beginning of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was. It was. I love that bitch. Elizabeth Moss. In that movie was really incredible. It made her look like she was just a psychotic person, and she ends up with this guy who's like basically a scientist. And
sounds like it's a lot more about abuse.
It is abuse. It is about abuse. It's about abuse of a woman. But the thing is that he is incredibly intelligent, and he has basically he has like the scientific knowledge to actually make himself invisible, and it makes her look like she's just crazy.
Yeah, I think even if it wasn't invisible, like making the excuses and everything that it was kind of a juxtaposition of, I think, domestic violence.
It is absolutely of domestic violence, but he has the intelligence and he's super rich, and he just has the ability to,
It's like if Batman was a wife beater.
yeah,
Oh, that
you
sounds
know,
fun. I was thinking it sounds like it's like kind of a movie about gaslighting, sort of, but
it is,
Yeah, that's a good way to
it
put
really is.
Let's put it in current context.
Yeah, it really is. So that was, that to me, I thought that was an incredible movie.
yeah, that was one I wanted to check out, but I think I just didn't get around to it when it was a new release, and then it kind of just got lost in the bunch later in the year. But it did look really good.
It is actually really, really good.
Let's watch that one. What about you, Steve? What was your number 2?
Well, I know it's on at least one other person's list, but The Lodge.
Oh yeah.
About,
Is that gonna be your number 1, Maggie? Is that what he's saying? That?
Honestly, it was going to be my number 1.
Oh yeah, it was really good. We watched. I told you I watched it with Sarah, and yeah, I mean there were. It was definitely like, I told you to the point where there's a lot of. They're messing with that character so so much that. Like I start to actually buy into the fact that she's, just crazy, and that the kids are.
It's a total mind fuck.
Yeah, it really was. It was really well done, and yeah, that totally could have been on my list if I had made my list before I'd seen it, or if I had made my list before I'd seen it. But yeah,
that was a really total mind fuck. That shit was a mind fuck, and I can't even say whether it was a horror or a thriller, or you know what I mean. It was just an absolute mind fuck.
Yeah. It seemed like The Shining for 2020. It seemed
kind of
like
yes,
it was.
It was absolutely that. I mean, it was just what the fuck.
Yeah, it's a movie I kind of like. For me, like one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time is Witch. Like where I just feel like I have to watch it again, and I have to watch it again because, like, I think
you
I
want
get
to
it.
understand it.
Well, yeah, and I think I understand it, but then I kind of like I do with Highlander or a couple of my other favorite movies where I think this is going to be one that I keep watching.
You have to kind of.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's got that rewatchable quality to it, and I think that the like I said, I think it's kind of got like the timeless sort of like, Shining kind of feel to it. I was actually, like sort of in that, is this going to be like the haunted, like like the hotel in The Shining is haunted? Is this actually going to be haunted, or is it more just insanity? And it totally like was, I mean, it added another layer into it. So it hit on all those same kind of notes, but then it definitely like with the kids like messing with her, it added it even more. So
you didn't know how it was gonna end.
And the cult is really like there's like 2 other layers at play with like, is she just crazy? Is I mean, I don't know. It was really good.
Scenario. Did you guys watch The Turning?
I don't think I saw that one.
So there's another one. It's The Turning. That it has kind of the same, I guess, play out. It's a young woman who goes to become a nanny at this big ass mansion. And well, I don't want to really go too much into it because it's really fucked up. And the ending is it's kind of like, what the fuck really happened here? But it's a nanny who goes in to this old ass mansion, and she ends up taking care of these kids that are supposedly super special. And it's just it's a pretty fucked up story. The ending is fucked, but I think that was one of the most messed up movies that I've watched in the last few weeks, I suppose.
Yeah.
Trying to come up with movies of 2020.
You were on a big horror binge.
Well, I had to. I had to. I was like trying to watch everything that was horror in 2020.
Well, all I've learned about having to do the top 5 is that
I thought I was supposed to do it.
I still have like 20 other movies to watch. You know,
Yeah.
I,
There's
I
a
would
lot.
almost
There's a
think
lot
that in
still.
January, knowing what I know now, because you're especially with like the amount of foreign movies that have come out, um, this year, it seems like they've been better at producing things
Yeah,
because one,
for
they're
sure.
better at quarantining, and they were able to get on with things. But yeah, so I'd like to go back like mid-January and maybe talk about some movies we missed for
Yeah.
sure. 'Cause
We
yeah,
should we
even
should do a show like next year, like right before we do like our mid-year show, like where we just talk about the horror movies we missed this year and the albums that we didn't put on our top list that we regret not including. Because I know that there will also be a bunch of those too that we find out like 6 months after the year ended. We're like, how did we not have this on there?
And that
yeah,
was the kind of thing for me is that, I knew we're gonna have to do a top. I thought we were doing a top 20 horror,
I don't think I could even do a top 20 horror. I
I
don't
thought
think I
that's what
could.
we're doing. So for the last couple of weeks, I was like watching
binging.
I was binging all 2020 horror movies, that I could. And it was, it was kind of ridiculous, really. 'Cause I was just watching everything horror that came out in 2020.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of really creepy stuff, though, that ended up being like Sundance films and, odd things that,
Yeah. Well, I
most
think we
people
need to go
weren't
back to it for
seeing.
sure. I think we need
Yeah.
to go.
Well, I thought it was a 20. I thought it was
Well,
a top
yeah,
20.
and we
I
should
was
probably
literally
have
watching,
categories like we're doing with music. I mean, because this is supposed to be a horror thing too.
it was
So
a horror. I was watching
psychological horror, gore. Maybe
Thriller.
do some
There was
awards around.
Thriller.
Yeah, I was thinking we should have done like an awards show for like whatever best best creature film, best zombie film, best
Yeah.
whatever. And
Thriller.
maybe next year we'll do that. Yeah, best thriller.
There's a lot of thriller, yeah, that I watched. I ended up
You
watching a
need
lot of
you need a best culty movie. I would totally let you guys pick that one because
I would
I'm not as into the culty movies as you guys
I
are.
would
You
do
guys,
so good at call.
Yeah, you go in waves. You're on a wave. Everything.
I could do so much on call.
Yeah, it's like Jim Jones, David Koresh.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you just
could
like
do
bask in the sunlight of cults.
Children of God. I could do call like nobody's business.
yeah.
Well,
All right. Well, yeah, we had to do it.
do you have any
Okay.
honorable mentions before you
Well,
go to your?
I do. I was actually trying to look one up. There's a movie. There was a zombie movie that came out about Native Americans, and the premise is that like this Native American tribe is the only ones that are immune to the zombie virus. So you have like this like cultural role reversal where like when zombies start killing everybody, people keep trying to like come to their like you know reservation for uh like safe haven, and they're like no, because you could turn into a zombie at any time. You're like you're not immune like we are. And there's like, so I don't know, it was kind of cool as like a sociological like kind of movie, but I just thought Alive was better if I was going to include one of the zombie movies. And one we had talked about before, which was what was it, Color of Everything, the Nicolas Cage movie. No, Color of Space, that was it, sorry.
Yeah, you're killing my number one.
Well, that was an honorable mention for me. I enjoyed it too. So I don't know, let's do your number one first then. Was I already talking about it?
No, go ahead.
Well,
I have some honorable mention too. So
all right. Your mine. Well, and really, like I said, any of the moons I mentioned could have been my number one, but the one that I'm putting as number one is really because of the year that we are in. So I picked the movie Host as my number one, which was it all takes place on a Zoom like this. So it was like this is how we interact this year. This is totally like life in 2020.
Yeah.
And so they were holding a seance through a Zoom with like these 5 girls and this one guy, and then this, the leader of the seance, who gets immediately disconnected right after the seance. And then these people all are haunted for the next 40 minutes, and the movie ends when the free Zoom session ends, because you only get 40 minutes. So it was just so perfect the way that like cuts off right at the end. It's just like the Zoom call is over.
Over.
But yeah, I mean, and really, when I look back at like what was the best movie of this year, the movie I'm going to remember is going to be that one, because in no other year would it have been the best movie. It's like it could only be the best movie this year. Like that was just totally our reality. And whenever I watch it, whenever I see it, I'll know exactly when that movie took place. Like there's no question in your mind when it happened.
It's
So, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. No, I want to see that. That's hilarious.
It's
But that's how it
awesome.
ends.
And there's really good. I mean, the jump scares in it are really good. It's got that kind of found horror sort of feel, because it all happens on a Zoom call. And
Well,
like
I heard, like how they directed that, the actors actually had to be in their own environment.
yeah,
And-
there's only like 2 characters that interact with each other at one point during the movie,
You're actually in your own.
because one of them lives like close enough that she runs over to the other one's apartment. But other than that, like everybody is just isolated in their own environment, and like the spirit is everywhere, so they can't get away
Wait.
from it.
Is it Demi Moore?
Was that what?
I just saw a
Is it Demi
trailer.
Moore?
Yeah, I just saw it.
I don't think so.
I just saw a trailer for a movie that Demi Moore is in, and it's all about
Ashton Kutcher.
no.
Was it? Are you thinking of Ghost? That was Ghost, not
No,
Host.
no, Ghost. No, bro.
Lazy.
No,
Patrick
there's-
Swayze.
No, there's a new movie out,
Has she done
and it's
anything
about
else?
what she's doing. What I'm trying to tell you right now.
No, I think I've seen the trailer you're talking about. I think I've seen
Yeah,
it, but I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know what it's called either, but it's all about like how
Woody
Everybody-
Harrelson gets money for.
oh go fucking suck dick.
No,
bro.
that one guy.
It's not what it is.
Demi Moore.
No, it's all about how
They have
everybody
marital problems.
goes into camps. It's like people that everybody that is COVID-19 and everybody goes into camps and shit. I just saw it today.
Your voice sounds really good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
There
Steven's
is
number 1. The drum roll. All right, ready? Number 1, Steven. Since we already ruined it, go for it.
Yeah, Color Out of Space.
Did I ruin shit?
Well, you know what?
No, I did. That was me. I ruined it.
Oh, sorry.
I ruined it for saying that you're ruining it. But
Sorry, dude. There's a new
hey,
movie.
my number 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
You'll be up soon.
You're gonna get yourself stoned over there, Maggie. You better watch it. No, go for it, Steve. You're number 1.
Different kind of stoned. Yeah. Yeah, I think anytime, people have tried to do an H.P. Lovecraft, novel, I mean, it's almost impossible, because it's just huge cosmic, entities that
What's your number 1?
color out of, I just said, color out of space.
Move on.
You're not up yet.
Move on.
It's number 1. Where do I go?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I think it was a good. I would say last year Mandy was my favorite movie. So just to see him come back early 2020 in that same kind of, there's some psychedelia there, not not as heavy as Mandy, obviously, but I think they portrayed cosmic horror in a a pretty good way without having a major production. But,
No, I
I
think I
think the
remember.
lighting and everything that they used to kind of create that environment was cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I usually cringe whenever Nicolas Cage is in anything, but
Everyone says
it was
I've
a
been a
great
fan
movie.
of Valley Girl, man. Maggie.
It was a great movie regardless. And I actually thought there's a lot of reasons that I kind of wanted to include this one, so I'm glad you did, and I kind of thought you would, which is why I left it off. But one, I mean, Tommy Chong was awesome. That was just like it's like the perfect role for him. It was just so great. Um, and then the part with the alpacas was for me. I thought was just so great because I used to work on an alpaca farm, so that had a lot of hidden meaning. But I actually thought it was a really cool like device in the story because they're like laughing at him for having these alpacas, but it's like his thing that he's like looking at is like the future. He sees them as like an investment, like that you're going to like you know you're going to get something from down the line. And when he
As
has to go
you did.
and then like shoot it, it's like he's shooting his future there. And so it's like it's actually like this really nice like kind of literary device, and they did do a good job with like the whole Lovecraftian horror thing. I think that they hit all the right notes, and um the special effects that they did do, like with making everything change colors, was cool. It was enough to make it like, and the creatures that people turned into. I mean, I was cringing with the wife child creature. That was kind of horrifying, and definitely also kind of felt like the thing at the same time too. Like so yeah, it was really good, and it was another one that could have easily been on my list, like we were saying.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all five for all
Yeah.
of us.
I will say though that I really want to see the new movie Synchronic that was in theaters, but I haven't been going to movie theaters, so I did not get to see that one.
Yeah, actually, I text Mike Hill the other day because he has this Necromaniacs podcast, and the number one, it seemed like by far, was Possessor.
Yes, which is
Okay.
another one that I wanted to mention too, because it looks really
Blu-ray.
good, but it's only like a new release on iTunes right now, I believe. So I have not watched that as of yet, but I think we have to have like a late November cutoff for movies that come out so that we can include them next year if they turn out
But
to
there's
be
also
like
another. There's another that's out. It's called Spell.
Yeah, I saw Spell.
I never had
Yeah.
the chance to see it, but I really want to see it.
It's kind of
And
like a black dude ends up being with his like family from Africa that kept like a lot of the voodoo, like
it
or-
Oh
looks.
yeah, you sent me the trailer for that one.
I want to see that so bad.
yeah, or like Fudan, kind of roots, and I believe it's his aunt like has a voodoo doll that kind of keeps him there, thinking
I
that
thought
he's.
I thought VFW was going to be on your list too. What happened to VFW?
Oh yeah, VFW was awesome.
He's
VFW,
probably gonna have like 45.
if you want to have a movie kind of like, I would say like Escape from New York.
Yeah, definitely
You know,
that
like-
grindhouse kind of
Yeah,
Planet
Yeah,
Terror
the
type
film
of feel
also
to
looks
it. Or,
good.
it was fun, and the cast was super bizarre. Like
yeah,
I don't know.
very
Yeah,
strange.
it was like what's his name from Cobra Kai, or
Yeah,
the Cobra
Yeah.
Kai Dojo Master. It was a really good cat. It was kind of like
Well, Spell was
what's
super
it called,
interesting.
the Invincible. What's that? Those horror movies with like Stallone and
oh, the Expendables. That's what. You're
yeah,
talking
it was like the B class Expendables.
It's true. It totally was.
Like it was just kind of washed up, but faulty pop iconish kind of.
Yeah. It
It was
had
cool.
it definitely
Another
had
one.
like that 80s feel to it. Like, you were watching some sort of like Rambo like,
I love that shit. Yeah.
like
There was also another one that seemed super creepy. It's called Baba Yaga. I think that it was originally a Russian movie. I think that its originally was made in like 1973, and it was just kind of the idea of a haunted house, and they took your children, and they kind of took your children into the woods, and
That's
it's
a weird ass haunted house.
yeah, and it's originally was done. I think it was a Russian movie originally done in I think 1973, and then in 2020 they did another version of Baba Yaga, and it was something of you know I can't recall exactly, but it was
Well, someone's listening. They're
Baba
gonna have
Yaga.
no idea.
It was Baba Yaga, and it was done in the woods in 2020.
I feel like
And
Babadook's cousin, Baba Yaga.
it was it has a similar
Well,
idea to that.
they go to a haunted house and they take your kids, and then you're in the forest.
Yeah, but the original movie was done in 1973,
Was it the same
and
premise?
it was a
Why'd they redo it?
well, I don't know, I didn't see it, asshole.
Oh, oh, you hadn't seen.
All right, so that's our top 5 from 2020. What did you guys think of the year as a whole? Was it a good year for horror, or
Oh yeah,
did the
all
pandemic kill
around
it?
great year for everything.
Yeah. I actually think it was pretty good. It was a lot better than I expected. I was kind of looking at like a lot of the movies coming out this year and like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like these movies are gonna not be
2020's
as
been
good.
fucked up. I
Well,
mean,
I think the problem with watching movies right now is, they have so many TV shows that come out, and it's just you get caught up, and so you could watch these 30 series or rent this movie for $7.99. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I mean it's true. It's definitely I think like, Netflix is changing the way we consume television and some of the series that are coming out, they're not really so much like TV series anymore. It's like really like a 12-hour movie is that people are watching. So it seems kind of hard to like not include something like The Kingdom that came out, and as being one of the best things that they made in horror this year. But
2020's
um,
been so fucked up. It's
wait,
like
what's the Kingdom?
you've never watched The Kingdom?
No,
I haven't either.
It's the South Korean um, movie about like medieval zombie outbreak.
it's
I
good.
cannot believe you have not watched this. It's so good. And I mean, it's way more than that too, because you have the whole thing starts because there's like this magic herb that can bring people back from the dead. And there's a really old king who will, if he dies, will pass on power to his son, who's like a good person, but um, he's also married this much younger woman. And if they keep him alive, she remains in power. Um, so they call this doctor to give him a magic herb to keep him alive, even though it basically turns him into a zombie. And this is how she's like holding on to power by saying he's not dead, he's alive. And
Is it on Netflix?
yeah, it's on Netflix. It is literally the best series I've seen on Netflix. Maybe not as good as Narcos. Narcos is probably still number one, but I mean, definitely The Kingdom is like I will watch that the day it comes out. It's so good. Um, but yeah, and I mean, it has like all the action and gore that you would expect from like samurai swords fighting with zombies, but
Yeah.
it's also like it's got a whole lot of other
Is it
context going on.
subtitled or overdubbed?
I think it's subtitled. It's subtitled. I'm not sure
Yeah.
entirely, but yeah, I don't. It was. it's engaging enough that you're not going to notice whatever it is. Like you
Okay.
totally get sucked into it. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, those are the top 5 movies for the year, though.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen them, go check them out. And if you liked any that we missed, let us know in the comments so that we can go check those out and maybe include them on our mid-year show of things that we missed.
Yeah. And honestly, please, we got the Facebook page, we got Dead Letter Legion. If you guys know of any bands that might want to be on or participate, or if you're a fan and you want to come on, just let us know, talk to us. We want this to be interactive and as interactive as possible, but like Jeremy said, definitely let us know what movies we missed, and then maybe in a couple months we can go back to this and talk about them. But you got anything else, Jared? Maggie?
Nope. Stay tuned for Matianak.
Stay tuned for
Absolutely. We'll see you then.
Matiana.
And tonight we got Matianak, which is Taylor, guitar, Arelys, the singer, and my old very good friend Rick Hernandez. I think we said we knew each other for, it was 27 years now?
Close to 25 years, if not more.
You guys are old.
Yeah.
We're old.
Fuckers.
So yeah, Rick's
Old
an old
man.
stalwart. You've been in dozens of bands at this time, and you're probably one of the most revered musicians in the metal underground in Chicago.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and it's really cool. He's in a band now with Arelys, his girl, and you guys live together now, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
All right. I just see you sleeping on your couch quite often with the dog.
With
Yeah, I'm
dog.
on the couch with a dog. That's what she says to me when I'm in trouble.
You seem to be quite a good cook.
She is.
I
get bored.
She keeps me well fed.
Yeah, I see that all the time. I would love for you to feed me sometime.
Oh,
You
I'll
should
see.
try. You should try her pozole.
I see it all the time. I see it
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, it looks incredible every time.
It's
But,
incredible every time.
No, I wanted to start out with, because I know that, Rick, you weren't the original drummer for the band, so maybe Taylor and Arelys can give me a little background on how you guys started and how you decided to play the type of music that you decided to play.
Well,
I'm not original either, actually.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm the creator founder of the whole band. So I basically started this in 2014 with other people, and I had several lineup changes just throughout the years for different reasons. Either they didn't work out, they have their own projects to do, or just were not for what I wanted my band to be, basically. I've always been huge into the black metal scene. I always wanted to actually create something that I've created now since I was the age of 12. So I've been trying to form this type of vision and project I had in mind throughout many of my years, but finally succeeded 2014.
Now, what were some of those early bands that I guess you first connected with that? Because your band's very aesthetic driven. You have more of a visual live show, and you're definitely in the center of that. I mean,
Absolutely, which is super hot.
what were some of the bands that initially got you thinking that way?
Big influence into Watain because they use a lot of animal bones as their props and basically stage production, and it's amazing. In that band, Eric's the main leader of this whole band. His whole stage getup is different at every show, so she changes it at every show, and every time I see them live is like amazing. I've always been really big into taxidermy art and just kind of the crafty, kind of unusual, creepy, disturbing type of look on things. I've always been into really dark art since I was a young child, and it's always been driven to me. I just feel it's very expressional, is kind of new, eerie, makes people uncomfortable, which I like things that make other people uncomfortable.
So do you think this is the lineup you're gonna kick it with for a while here? Or?
So far, Taylor's been with the band for 3 years. Everyone else is new. I don't have a guitar player, so I'm still searching for a second guitar player.
Taylor, what are some of your primary influences as far as writing goes, and how does the writing process translate, I guess, between a riff and what happens ultimately on an album or live show?
I mean, definitely Dissection was one of my early influences. Well, I come from a punk background, so I used to be in a band that covered a bunch of mid songs, so I'm really into the kind of aggressive, to the point, simplistic sort of stuff. But also listening to like Watain and Mayhem and Gorgoroth, some of that 90s stuff. I like the rawness that they had and the sort of simplicity. So I tried to do that sort of thing. As far as like the riff writing goes, it's basically just like playing around. I try to keep songs with their own identity. So I'll like repeat a riff later on in the song, but I always try to add something. So like a different lead, or maybe the riff's in a different time signature. So I feel like the song's always progressing, but it has a sense of identity. And then, Rick will put his drums to it, or else will do her banshee wails, and they make it like an actual song.
So are there currently 2 guitar players in the band, or is it
just Taylor? We don't have a second guitar player. I fired him.
Yeah. Well, Rick has, well, hold on. Rick has a pretty extensive background on guitar. A huge history.
Yeah, but like for live purposes, he can't do both in the same time, drums and
no,
guitar.
yeah, that would be odd, especially considering how he plays drums. But
so I need a live person, second guitar player to play for future shows. Or
no, but is there any writing synergy between like Rick, what you do and you come up with, and working with Taylor? Like, given your guitar background, is it is it second nature to kind of put 2 cents in?
Yeah, dude. For the most part, when there's a song that I wrote for the new album coming up, there was like another song that she needed to fill, and I'm just like, well, I got this one that I wrote it on like Pro Tools like a long time ago, and I presented it to her, and she liked what she heard, and then I just kind of did like a third revision on it, just kind of made it a little easier and more like simpler. So, it's not like just, it was like, originally it was like a 6-minute song, so I cut it like in half, and then, so I presented it to the band and they liked it. And Taylor, I sent him it was like a bootleg like recording, because I wasn't really familiar with like bouncing tracks with Pro Tools, so I just like gave him I just pretty much like presented him like the song so he can learn it. He got it, like he learned it, like he learned pretty much 90% of the songs. Like I didn't have to show him anything. I didn't have to like show him like video tabs or nothing, and he picked it up really quick. And I'm like, holy shit, that was that didn't really
incredible, because he looks very young.
He's a baby.
I'm not that young.
That's top drawer to you.
Yeah, well, I had lots of practice learning songs, because the old lineup of the band had a whole set that I had to learn basically by watching YouTube videos of live performances. So I had plenty of practice.
So what brought the two of you together, Rick and your lady, how did it start? Did you guys start as friends, or just knowing each other at shows, or how did that kind of relationship start and flourish into something successfully musically?
Well, I've known him for 5 years. Friend of his, I guess. It was some party, so he just showed up and he talked to me, him and his girlfriend at the time, since I was just kind of awkwardly sitting there. And then we just always had a good close friendship, and I don't know, he was just my talking buddy. He was my talking buddy too, and we always vented about random things and never really thought about anything more from there besides just being good friends and being there for each other. And then I just kind of randomly, just unexpectedly, we ended up together. I'm still really like, what the hell, how this became a
How the
thing.
fuck did that happen?
Yeah, I was legit looking for a girlfriend for him, and it ended up being me.
It was you all along.
Yeah, I was like, oh well, I guess it's me.
You
Surprise.
guys obviously already had like something musically that it struck something, that there was, a connection.
Yeah, I don't really know how it all happened, but yeah, pretty much he was pretty much everything I wanted and needed in a person. It just didn't click until 2 years ago.
That's pretty incredible. My question is, being a woman, and I guess it's not really a question so much as how empowering it must feel to be the front woman, of something so fierce and so badass. And, and kind of the times that we're going through, I mean, how does it like tingle through your veins? Because it's just you're really in a badass situation right now, and being a woman and opposed to all these other bands and people that you guys open with and play with, then it's not obviously you're the only chick that, front manning things. I mean, doesn't that create like an incredible empowerment for you? Or do you
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't like to be considered as like a front woman band at all. I want the band to basically be known and get attention for what the art and all the ideas I have for this band and musically of what I'm trying to do and capture as a whole band, as a visual, and then kind of just the whole feel of everything I'm trying to express. So I don't really see it as me being empowered because I'm a woman. I mean, anyone could do anything they want to, as long as they, work hard for it. And I work really hard in trying to create a completely different, twisted world with what comes with shows and performances. And I don't know, I have a weird, twisted mind, and I wanted to kind of create it all and express it. But yeah, I actually have horrible stage fright.
I do too.
What helps me is me transforming a completely different character and feel everything that the person I'm singing about basically feels and go through and let it out that way. So I'm more of like telling a story, and I'm this different character on stage. So it really doesn't, I really don't think of it as me being a woman up there at all. I'm just doing it, and I'm just basically going with where the music takes me and what I envision in my mind and what I'm creating, and basically giving everyone a show. So I've been through shows so many years, and shows get boring, man. People want to see a show, not just hear it.
It does not seem like your shows get boring. Yeah, it does not seem like your shows get boring. I've seen a lot of things on YouTube, and you do not seem like you give a boring show.
No, man, I grab people sometimes too if they're close enough.
So what have you guys been doing during the quarantine? Are you sharing files back and forth, or?
We were jamming for a few months to record our second album, which we did already. It should be out either this week or next week.
Yeah, did anybody pick it up, or are you guys shopping it? Rick has his phone on in the bottom, and it's just like
Bro.
um.
Get out of there.
I'm trying.
Oh my God. Give me that. Here, you talk.
Old man that can't fucking handle technology. Hi.
Yeah, we're about the same age, Rick. All of yeah. Yeah. Have you shopped it around at all? And how'd the recording process go? Did you do it all through DAWs and or are you guys actually going to the studio?
We went to a friend's studio out in Arlington Heights, actually about like 10, 15 minutes down the street from my house. And yeah, we got everything done within 9 hours for drums.
Nice.
Yeah, I got everything done like 9 hours, and then the next day, Taylor, yeah, we were in the studio for Sunday. We were in the studio. How long was it, Taylor? We were in there for.
I got there at 11 in the morning. I left at like 3:30 in the morning.
Hours, maybe? That's not that bad. I mean,
It was a long day. But I mean, a lot of it was like, editing stuff and like engineering stuff. So it was like I would play a part, or I was doing 2 guitar parts. So I'd lay those down, and then like for an hour and a half, there'd be like engineer doing his stuff, and then we come back to it.
Hey, Rick.
Yo.
Since you got with her, yeah, like the sound started.
also going to shit again.
It's just you, Rick.
I think so.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. I think it was
I
just
think
a
you
little
need
too
to put
far
your
away,
face all up in it.
You gotta talk loud.
Okay.
like an old man's butthole,
There's a fly in here.
Yeah.
or what you do in that particular situation. So it's unimportant. The all right, so you're recording in Arlington Heights. Do I know this studio, or is this just like a
Swift Road Studios by Vincent. I don't know if you've ever met him.
No.
Yeah, Vincent. He's I've known him for about a good 4 or 5 years, and we've talked about just he's always wanted my band to like come and record, and then when Arelys when he pitched the idea to her to record with him, it was like instantaneously. It was like, yeah, we'll work with him. I mean, I've been to a studio once, a couple of years back. I bought a guitar pickup from him, and went over there and I checked out his studio, and it was really cool, man. He just moved in there, and and like I said, she got the invitation to go, for us to record, and I got pretty excited.
Well, he recorded my band's demo in like 2016, 2 songs. I met him through a mutual friend at a show, and so I was like, she introduced me to him, and then he basically said that he'll record the 2 demo songs for free and stuff. And ever since then, we've been friends. He was supposed to record our last album, Non Compos Mentis, but I think things didn't just work out at that time, so I went with someone else. But I felt bad, and I was like, next album for sure, man. It's all yours. You're gonna record a second album. So then I contacted him, and it's like, hey, we were talking regarding recording with him, but I still need a few more songs. And then I had lineup changes again, but I was setting my goals like, no, 2020, we're gonna fucking do the second album. It's gonna be out. So I made sure we took months of practice and rehearsals for all the songs possible. I wanted 6, but then I'm like, no, Taylor got another new song. And so we got the 7th, and then Rick mentioned that he has a song, so I heard it. I'm like, dude, that could be our 8th song. I like it. I could definitely do something with this, vocal-wise and stuff. And now we recorded all 8 of them, and right now it's going to be in the process of mastering starting Monday or Tuesday, and it should be ready soon. So it's pretty insane album.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm
I mean, you've
impressed.
been thinking of this since you're 12, you said, so.
Since since I
gotta be
was
a lot of
12,
there.
I've been wanting to make a black metal band, but it was just so hard when you're a goddamn kid and don't know what to do or start. You just have dreams and goals, but where do I go? Where do I start? What do I do?
That's pretty incredible.
Well, Maggie and Jeremy and I just released an episode today with Dave from Mortar Skull, and he was talking about the process of writing, and you know, it's music first for him, and then it's kind of the syncopation and, you know, what makes sense to, you know, play and sing live, and it doesn't overcomplicate things. But you seem to have more of an idea of what you want to project with, I don't know, ghosts, or, you know, even the idea of the band name, I mean, is, you know, kind of lore. So how does that play into it? Do you have an idea, and then like you said, a tone with, you know, Rick or Taylor as far as what you want that to generally feel like, and you write the music around it? Or is it you know, kind of a combination of both of those things? How do you get how do you project it? Like, how does it start in here and come out?
What is Matiana and what is behind all of it, basically?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the songwriting, is it more like, you know, like I'm a huge King Diamond fan, right? And like you take Abigail, like he's got the whole, but I don't think, like, you know, Mickey or Andy LaRocque were like on the same place with them. You know, he probably had to project the idea and how he wanted it to kind of roll lyrically for that to happen. So how do you take your idea and get that across to them, and it makes sense in like a song structure or an album?
Yeah. Well, Matiana is actually an Indonesian folklore witch that died from stillbirth. So that is where I got the name from.
Thank you.
Yeah, all my lyrics are actually based of real people and real stories. So most of them are like serial killers, but they're underground. They're not really known. A lot of psychotic stuff, mental disorders, and people from the mental hospitals. And I took all these stories, all these news articles that I found, and made them into an actual first person kind of feel and view to tell that story as them into myself. And that's how I express these songs. So it's basically all these lyrics are about, they're all real. They're not fake at all.
Yeah, we leave all that, like the storytelling and the lyricism and the aesthetics to Arelys. Because usually, like, I don't really know what the song is necessarily going to be about when I like write the riffs, but then she's able to like listen to the riffs in the song and fit these lyrics to it and tell a story in a way that makes the song much better. She's really good about accenting all the right parts and really bringing the songs to life. So usually it's like, yeah, she's like putting the aesthetic in the story and like completing the song that way.
That's cool.
That's very artistic and strong. That's incredible.
Yeah, most of the bands I've been in was always like who was your friend that didn't sing the shittiest? You know, like it was always like the singer was always the problem, you know, like they weren't really that good, or they got some weird attitude. I had one guy that wore a cowboy hat for no reason. You know, and,
touche. I know.
You know, so it's refreshing to have you know, somebody like you that's an artist that you know, puts that much into the writing process. That's cool. And for you, Rick, I'm guessing that was kind of, I mean, obviously you guys are together, you know, which is terrific, but that had to be probably refreshing to you in a lot of ways too, to have somebody that creative as
well, that's an extreme term.
You know,
like artistically, you have somebody that has, you know, somebody that's doing something so real. That's got to be
like legit real.
Right. That's got to be, you know, pretty extreme in meeting somebody and playing music with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mostly doesn't.
he was just gonna fill in for an out of state show in March because I didn't really know how I feel about him being in the band because we're together and stuff. So we were just filling it out, but of course the Madison show got canceled because of the whole pandemic in March, so that never happened. And I guess I knew he always wanted to be in the album, so I asked him, I was like, hey, you want to be part of the album? You know, I don't have a drummer. I kicked the other drummer out. So he was like, sure. And then from after the album, you know, I was going to give him the opportunity of thinking about it if he wants to just stay in the band or he's pretty much just wants to do the album and help when needed for shows. But he decided to pretty much be
That has to
part of
be
the
a turn
band.
on. I mean, that has to be a turn on. You know, to be.
Let's get all sexual.
It doesn't have to be.
I think she has a
sexual.
crush on me.
I'm not saying it has to be sexual. I'm just saying it has to be a turn on to work on something that is something so real that both of you kind of like, are, you know, that's what he did. It's like a Fleetwood Mac scenario.
We
You know?
definitely we all everybody in the band, we all gel with each other, and everybody, you know, is very, very
You have
talented.
orgies?
What's that?
Never mind.
No.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So yeah, but everything, yeah, I mean, like it all fell into place, and like, yeah, she that was, you know, hurting to do a record. You know, it's been a while since we've, you know, since I've done anything, you know, recording wise, and I've, you know, wanted to, you know, kind of get the ball rolling, and she helped me with that. It was just perfect timing for that. Perfect timing for me to, you know, to just pretty much step it up and then like get on an album, and, you know, just we were going to do an out of state show, like she said, but it was just like a week, like before the pandemic hit, you know, that's when everything, like they started, you know, shutting down all these
You know, I
venues.
fucking remember that shit.
Yeah.
1 week before our show.
Yeah, that
It's
seems
like-
to be the consensus for a lot of musicians right now. It's like everything was coming out. People tried postponing the album as long as they could because they thought it'd be like a couple months, and now it's fucking November, you know, and they have to release it because they're
It's
sick
been
of
like
hearing
that.
it.
It's been like that, I think, for a lot of artists or artistic people or people, you know, trying to go after something they believe in or something they want. It was like everything was fine, and then like 6 weeks later, you know, everything's fucked.
Yeah, it's cool though. I mean, you got a lot of time to kind of work on the album and then, you know, put out exactly what you want, work on the art. But no, it's not going to be forever. So what are you guys thinking after this comes out, after everything opens up? Are you looking to do like a Midwest tour? Or
When things are back to normal, you meant?
yeah, I mean, are you guys shopping the album now or?
Right now it's not released yet, but it will be released hopefully in this week or two, digitally, and then I'll be working on the actual album cover and the booklet for possible physicals in the near future. I still have to create everyone's stage kind of character, so that's gonna be my project to do because they're not gonna look plain. I just slap whatever kind of temporarily, but I do have an idea of how they're going to look like, so I'll be working on that until things are back to normal, and by then we'll probably be all ready with everything that the stage and all the guys should be looking like for out of state shows is what I want to go for. I've never played an out of state show, so I want to get more experience with that before we go to a different country. I want to be in like a good label too at some point. But right now I'm in no rush since there's still a lot of work to do on my part to create a lot of stuff. So becomes overwhelming, and eventually I do want a team of people to help me put everything together, even myself together, because I take 3 hours alone to get ready.
Yeah, like diva it up. I just get a whole team, like a whole team of people.
Yeah, I do, man. I do pretty much everything else besides I don't do the music, but everything else I do. It's like a band mom, band manager, band everything. I do all the art stuff and all the networking, promoting, and so at work, man. I'm like, yeah, I probably need help or gonna be bald.
Well, based on what's coming out right now, like what would be like
a couple of your dream record labels. Taylor, we'll start with you. Like, who do you think's putting out the best shit for black metal right now? And like, what would you really be happy on?
I wouldn't call myself the authority on this, but I do like a lot of bands on Death Cult Productions. They have a band called Lamp of Murmur that's pretty popular for an underground band. You can't get any of their records because they sell out in seconds. And Revenant Marquis is on there, and a bunch of other ones too.
Arelys, what do you think right now? Like, who's putting out some of the best shit?
Season of Mist, I really would like to be part of it. That's where 1349 and Rotting Christ are also part of that label. That would be really awesome to be part of.
Yeah, we had Mike Hill on the show from Tombs. I know they got signed to Seasons of Mist too. But yeah, I would agree with you. I was hoping somebody said Seasons of Mist. It's like everything they put out right now is just they got the best roster. It's like what Relapse used to be like for like strange death metal. They're doing that with unique black metal, I think, for sure.
Yeah, so I might be sending some stuff to see if they like us. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know that there's a show, Into the Necrosphere, that he's had a lot of Season to Miss band on, but if you send him your stuff, like he'll pick it and like play it and do a whole thing on his podcast. But he's had like a lot of the folks from Seasons to Miss on his show, so that might be a cool thing to maybe try. Maybe send him.
Yeah, definitely. Either send me or Rick that info. I'll definitely look into that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, and the name of the podcast, because he's from Africa, but he does his show, I think, out of Britain now. Into the Necrosphere. He named it after the Broken Hope song. So he has
I was going to say, it sounds like a Broken Hope song.
Yeah. So he's had like, what's his name? The guitar player that writes books.
Jeremy Wagner.
Yeah, he did like a 3-hour episode with Wagner's, so there might be a connect there. But I know those guys are all pretty in sync with what's going on with Season to Mist. I mean, if that's your goal,
Yeah.
All right, so Jeremy, you got any questions, man?
I think you fell asleep.
It's way too early. Usually about hour 3, I start to fall asleep. Now I'm just waiting for
on
weird
hour.
stuff to happen.
We're not even in hour.
Usually Steve's busy at the interview for like the first hour, which is why I was like, questions. Wait, what? Already? We never get to be this early.
Yeah. Well, I'm usually a lot more drunk. So it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, we're only like 49 minutes in. Steve's got another like 2 more hours left. So.
Oh fuck! No, I wouldn't do that to you guys. I promise.
I could talk forever, man.
Dude, I was on Metalhead podcast, and we've had George on the show. He was excited because they just got a full page advertisement in the new Decimal magazine coming out. But I was on his show. It started at 8. Right? 7 or 8. And I was on it till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah. And it was just, I mean, it was like, like everything you know about metal, you practice your whole life. And I'm like, I'm going to be on the Metalheads podcast. And it drained me like I was in a metal marathon. These guys just like every genre of metal, every question, every album is just like,
Man,
like
you couldn't
heavy
keep
metal
up.
knowledge war, like they just know everything. It's awesome. Okay.
Bye.
So anyway, this has been really cool. I think everybody should absolutely support Matianak.
Matiana, brother. Matiana.
Don't say wrong.
I'm just kidding.
Matiana.
I love you. It's been good.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Arelys, Rick, it's good. As soon as you guys have some more, things that we can give to the people and spread the psychotic brain of Arelys to you know,
The people,
the ether. Yeah, the people.
send us your shit.
Yeah,
We'll put it on our website. We'll share it. We will.
We will.
Absolutely.
thank you for tuning in to Dead Letter Emission. I
Hey.
appreciate that Arelys and Rick and Taylor came by so we can listen to Matianak and get some more
Matianak.
information
You
about
still
them.
said it wrong.
So,
Matianak.
yeah, those guys also.
That's all shit.
I love you. Have a good night.
Love you too, man. You guys take care. Have a good night.
All right. Later.
Later.